Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Monday, the 19th of October. Bonafide conservatism. It's the prodigious, it's the prominent professor at Proclamation News and Gatherance. I've got so much to talk about today. For the first few minutes, I'm going to talk about society, sociological change, inequalities, equalities, hate crime. I'm talking about hate crime in a sense over a pastor, a preacher, evangelism. Anyway, but we're going to get on to start the formation, how I like to present myself. I'm the capital P in proclamation. I'm a capital P in persuasion. I'm a capital P in persuasive. I'm a capital P in punctuation. I'm a capital P in provocative. I'm a capital P in purity. I'm a capital P in progressive. I'm a capital P in progression. I'm a capital P in philanthropist. I'm the capital P in populism. I'm a capital P in propaganda. I've done it said already. I need a bit of motivation. I need some motivation. People give me motivation. So people acting strange, strange in society. They want to become famous, but they're acting infamous. I need a bit of motivation. So talk about criminology, police, trafficking, idiots in society. Police trafficking idiots in society. So I've got this Christian evangelist sitting in our town centre. You know, and when you read the Bible, you don't preach it every single word to detail and fire in people's faces because you're taking away the qualities of life. When they say same sex is sin, do you then go up to someone, excuse me, mate, you're homosexual, you're sin, you're sin. No, you don't, because that's hate crime. That is hate crime. And also, I think there's a bit in there, but it's the same in all Bibles. They mark out the differentials of the different multiculturalism. You don't read the Quran and might say something about Christianity. Our way is pure, but they're not. It doesn't mean you have to go around shouting it in someone's face. Like this Christian evangelist, we're talking about Islam, and he always writing things on his Facebook about Islam, Islamophobia, and all this. Like he's really distraught. I mean, if a Islam bloke called, from Islam was breaching his Bible in a town centre, he'd be called a terrorist. It's not fair, is it? I mean, why hasn't this guy been called a terrorist? He's causing hate crime all through Clacton on Sea Town Centre. This is why I have to radicalise myself away from idiots because I can't comprehend. I can't walk past them. I've got different sexualities throughout my family. If I was to walk through town centre and I heard him say that, towards one of my family members, I'd have to decapitate his chin. He should be taken out of society for his own safety, surely. I wouldn't really decapitate. I'm not that way inclined. I wouldn't cause further criminology, but the police need to intervene before he does himself damage. Someone as some of my standard, well, they wouldn't do it for starters. I've got a good head on my shoulders, but someone, where I'm coming from. Someone from suburban area wouldn't think twice about picking up a machete and taking someone's head off. It's absolute. It's it's ludicrous. I see him on Facebook, live on Facebook, with his homosexual lad. You gay, sir? He went. This young lad, he's probably about 16, 17. Are you gay, mate? No, not mate. He's giving all the, in Gospel, Luke or Paul or whatever one it is. I don't read it that thoroughly as he does because that's his job. He does it every day. If you tell me something about politics, I'll give you the answer. That's what I say. I'm radicalised. I'm not. I do go Bible. I am grounded in my religion, but I don't breathe it in someone's face. With someone like that, like an evangelist, always say to them, they come up with some stupid remark because you always, your thoughts your thoughts are not your thoughts, and neither are my ways. Because you can read something in the Bible, it does relate to your everyday life, your everyday thinking, but there's some stuff in there and think, yeah, I think that, but I wouldn't say it to discriminate, or you don't want to segregate people, make them feel uncomfortable. Your religion is your religion because you're born with it's tradition, but you don't throw other these things in people's faces. I watch what's his name, Chipotle Chowdhury. He's an Indian guy. He's so good. He's really good. You know, he's really, really intelligent bloke. I watch him quite often. I watched a lot of his things last night. I'll continue watching more of his comedy acts. Yeah, Prince Charles, and yeah, he went with a 17-year-old girl when he was 40. It's a bit, a bit weird. He's won a war. He's supposed to be the face of Great Britain. What children look up to. What me and you look up to. Supposed to look up to him. He's gone with a 17-year-old, well, adult, young adult. It's legal, but 40 years old to go with a 17-year-old. You're old enough to be, probably maybe grandfather at 40, aren't you? Or well, at least father anyway. 23 years younger. 23 years younger. It's ludicrous, absolute ludicrous. And that Paul tragedy, is with who's he with? Epstein. He's at a party with Epstein with these young girls, and he went. You did know Epstein is an A-class paedophile. Yes, I wasn't sure that he went, and he ripped into it. Paul tragedy ripped into him. When my mates talking about these guys from Islam and this and that, that Paul tragedy fella is amazing, absolutely amazing. But you don't see him shouting at Prince Andrew, who is a Christian, calling him a terrorist, which he should do by rights, because that is that's the royal subject for our community. Anyway, so it's only going to be a short one today. So it's going to be a short show today. I just wanted to get that off my chest. Why I'm police taking these people in and say, look, you got to stop the hate crime. You're obviously educated in the Bible because you know quite a lot. Just stop the hate crime. Don't depict people out of the crowd and discriminate them. Simple as that. There's kebab shops and Turkish hairdressers all nearby the vicinity. It's going to upset the wrong person before long. I mean, I've got family from Pakistan. I've got some associates from India. Nice people. They don't need it thrown in their face walking through the street. Ain't nice. If I was sitting there singing Chelsea Headhunter songs in the middle of town, I'll be pulled out for town square straight away. What he's doing is no different. It needs to be stopped. I've um I've I've wrote to the police for his own safety. I'll tell him to his face for his own safety. I'll speak to him before all this come about. He got my Facebook. He wrote on my wall. As soon as someone writes graffiti on my wall, that's discrimination. Playing fire with fire. I'm educated. I know where I stand when it comes to breaching ASBO. He's breaching ASBO already. Breaching ASBO of hate crime all over social media. It's there to be seen. I don't know why it hasn't been brought into a halt already. You cannot preach that kind of vandalism in a town centre. He said it. Oh, in London they all do it. Yeah, but London's a bigger community. They've got bigger things going on. More racketeering, more knife fighting. These things need to stop. Nip in the bud. You see what happened to Billy Steele on YouTube, talking about talking talking about someone's skin complexion, saying the black word and then he got knocked out on the bus, on the train, underground. That's what happens to society. You upset one community, yeah, one community will deal with it in their own mannerism. So I'm trying to do the best by him. I shouldn't have to, but I'm trying to do the best by him for his own safety. He might be knowledgeable, but he used to use his knowledge and depict the good bits and the bad bits. They're going to upset the equality of life. Take it out, absolutely. I don't know if you guys are listening to me on Castbox. If you agree, you can always call in and tell me your story too, because I know I talking absolute sense. People say you shouldn't get yourself involved. If I don't get involved or intervene, the police should have done it a long time ago. I think they pulled them in once or something. I don't know what. But for something they pulled them in, they need to either get the Bible, shut the book, or say, behave yourself. You know what hate crime is, don't you? You got to explain to them, don't do it again. If you do it again, we take you in, you've got to be sentenced. Community service. That's the only way he's going to learn. Because he's just going back doing it time and time again. Then he's arguing the case with me, and I'm well knowledgeable. And I'm a mature student, 37 years of age. Anyway, moving on. I'm going to share this video on Facebook, and I hope it reaches the right people, and I hope the right people point him in the right direction for his own safety. It's not hate at hate. It's not playing fire with fire. It's trying to put him into safety before he hurts himself. Not by me, not by someone I know. Well, it could be, but not for me passing messages about, just could be someone I know through school because he's in my old vicinity, my constituency where I grew up. I want people, not people to get hurt, but realise where they've gone wrong. Even if I'm sorry, I made a mistake on Facebook. I shouldn't have done what I've done to that young lad. That young lad that he done it to, causing hate, discrimination of homosexuality. That boy could have gone. I know they've got they can't cope. They come out of their shell that they're to their mum and dads that they like the same sex. He might have gone home and cut his wrist. He might have gone home and overindulged in alcohol and could have been killed himself. Got one over. Things, you know, these little things that people make a joke of to society all over Facebook on social media is the biggest discrimination thing you can think of. It's deep in the wounds, it needs to be sorted, it needs to be dealt with. And I want this to get pushed through on Facebook and shared, make him realise that, he's made a mistake, just say sorry. Say sorry to society, say sorry to little, hopefully that boy will see it on social media. I made a mistake. He's intelligent, black, very, very intelligent. Very, very intelligent with Bible. I've always done my Bible study. Never sunk in because I read the book. I've read it several times, probably about 5 times. But I read it and I think, yeah, my life's been similar sort of lifestyle to what they went through, and that's how I look at it. But when it's politics, um, it becomes a methodical madness. I enjoy it. I've been doing media studies since 1995. I've always enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoy it. As you know, I talk about the Great Maze Escape, um, even Queen Elizabeth I. All the stuff I've read through history. It's everything I've enjoyed. My granddad's been part of the history. With Winston Churchill. 1985, like I say, 1985, Great Maze. 1989, we had the Gulf War, India and Iraq. So I've got my knowledge where it needs to be within UK politics and history. So we're going to move on to today's formation. Thank you all. I just want to say thank you all for coming and supporting me. I really, really appreciate it. Oh, someone just put on there, our politicians are wannabe con artists. People always discriminate, the critics who are in politics, they discriminate politicians. But they're on good money. But so are footballers, and footballers don't do their job. So, well, I don't know why people even get involved. Well, you don't see this much discrimination to footballers that earn 200,000 a week. Politicians don't even earn that in a year. So, well, some do, some earn more than that. But anyway, moving on, ladies and gents. Politicians have got the whole world in their hands. These footballers ain't got the whole world in their hands. They've got mainly the people constituency. And they're not really doing anything good for society, hitting a ball in the back of an onion bag. What's so good about that? Wow. Politicians are supporting the whole democracy in schooling, fuel prices, everything. And you're getting furloughed off, you're getting paid for the government. It's all these government things. They're doing massive amounts of things to society and people don't realise. COVID-19, firms warn of catastrophic impact of new coronavirus rules. Firms are calling for more financial support to avoid catastrophic consequences from tougher coronavirus restrictions. Without more help, there would be a mass redundancies and business failures. The British Chambers of Commerce warns. I mean, this is another thing. I mean, the critics on this about the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, but my life's all ruined. I can't go to the pub, do my usual. I understand for the landlords being a bit upset because it's their rate of their flow of money, isn't it? It's their flow to keep their household running. It's their flow to keep their business going. The people that go in there moaning, it's saving their mental health. It's saving your mental health. It's making you better. Staying away from the pub. So why are they moaning? Same as the critics moaning about these politicians. They know zero politics, yet they're moaning. We can go to a group of 6, but yet kids can go to a school of 30. Things like that I've been seeing. Why would you try and intervene or argue the case? It's a good reason because, for starters, kids' immune systems are a bit stronger than adults. And if you're making your immune system weaker, in a pub, in a local gathering, drinking, smoking, immune system is weak anyway because you're smoking. If your immune system is that strong, you'll be smoking. Without more help, there will be a mass redundancies and business failures, the British Chambers of Commerce warns. The calls for a new approach comes as tougher restrictions are imposed on large parts of the UK. The government said it had already put in place support worth 200 billion to help firms cope. We know this continues to be a very difficult period for business, a spokesperson said. This is what we have to put in place, a substantial package of support. The government has already announced extra support for firms affected by new measures to control the virus, including providing two-thirds of workers' wages where firms have to be told to close. Firms will also receive grants of up to £3,000 per month. There is additional funding for local authorities and developed administrations. Grave situation. The Director General of the BCC, which represents 75,000 firms of varying sizes across the UK, it has written to the Prime Minister calling for a new set of criteria to be applied before posing tougher restrictions. The situation for business grows graver by the day. Adam Marshall wrote, enhanced support must be given to those facing to indirect impacts of restrictions and closures in supply chains, destinations and town and city centres. The letter outlines a set of conditions firms would like to see in place before restrictions are imposed. It says there should be evidence of the effectiveness of the proposed measures. Businesses should be given time to prepare, and financial support should be available, both for firms focused to close and those indirectly affected. While some businesses are required to close in areas under the strictest measures, many more firms say their business will be badly affected by a drop in demand as people are asked to limit some activities, travel and socialise less. Some businesses in England say they would rather to be closed down under three-tier, very high alert measures and receive financial support, then see demand for their services destroyed in the Tier 2 high area, the BCC has said. The Prime Minister announced a new three-tier system for England last week, pointing to sharply rising transmission rates for the virus in some parts of the country. Mr Johnson told the House of Commons, this is not how we want to live our lives, but this is the narrow path we have to tread between the social and economic trauma of the full lockdown and the massive human and indeed economic cost of uncontained epidemic. The government was introduced the toughest tier 3 restrictions in Liverpool and Lancashire, which means pubs and bars not serving food must close and households are not permitted to mix. Many other parts in England, including London, York, and Essex, are now in Tier 2, the second highest level of measures. This means people from different households may not be indoors, including inside cabs and restaurants. In Northern Ireland, pubs, restaurants, and cafes have closed to sit-in customers for the next 4 weeks. While in Scotland, Central Belt, most licensed premises are closed under temporary restrictions. In Wales, a two-week fire break, a period with tighter restrictions to help break the trajectory of the coronavirus cases rising, is expected in the days. Tested and traced failure. The BCC is also calling for changes to the NHS test and trace system. The need for additional restrictions cannot be blamed on a lack of care by hard-working people and business across the country, the letter said. Instead, it represents a failure of the test and trace system, which must be only improved and expanded. It suggests that any periods of enhanced restrictions should be used to speed up the effectiveness of the NHS test and trace, including putting a focus on the rapid testing and low-cut testing in workplaces. What do you think of the test and trace? People say, "Oh, it's not absolutely correct. It's not correct. What's the point of having it? There's no point having it. Government failed. Government's this. Government's it's providing that safe warranty, isn't it? Some people suffer with anxiety of this COVID thing. Old elder people, trace and tracks makes people think, yeah, even if it isn't 100% accurate, even if it isn't 100% accurate, people thinking, well, we know what numbers are called, we know where they are. Instead of self-isolating, we're safe. Just give them a bit of reassurance that when they go to the local supermarket, they're going to be safe. So why would they write it off? Why would everyone write it off and make people feel that nothing's going to work? We're all going to die anyway. Then why are these idiots going to protest to even make it risk it even more? Oh, there might not be COVID. We don't think there's COVID, but we're going to go in a massive protest where there's like 100,000 people just to make sure there ain't COVID. If there's a nuclear airstrike in a town centre, come on, Jim, let's go and protest in the middle of town. I mean, we've got China, Pearl Harbor's going to happen in our town centre. Let's go and have a look at the bombs dropping our face. They won't do it. They would not do it. Why are they doing it with the COVID? Silent World War. It's a silent World War. People are dying of COVID. I know people close to me have had COVID. COVID is real. More people at my little cousin's school have got COVID. Clacton Coastal Academy have got COVID. Clacton County High has got COVID. My mum's old primary school has got COVID. COVID is a big thing. It could get to, if people are stupid, it could get to the point where everyone's going to have COVID. Everyone in the whole of the world is going to have COVID. Or the whole of UK if they get acting deranged. It's all right, we don't mind getting COVID. It's all right, you getting COVID, you might fight it, but your parents might not. Or your nan, or your granddad, or your newborn baby might not get through COVID. So why would you risk it? Cabinet Minister Michael Gove told the BBC Andrews Marr programme that the number of people tested was higher than ever before, and that contact tracing was improved all the time. But he said that any test and trace system has less utility as the virus grows. Since the start of the pandemic, the number of people employed across the UK is down by around 500,000, according to the Office for National Statistics. While some self-employed workers and entrepreneurs have lost significant amounts of work, the government provided support to employees and businesses at the start of lockdown in March, including VAT cuts, business rates, holidays, extended loan schemes, and furlough scheme, which provide 8% of wages for those unable to continue work. See what I'm saying? 80% of wages who cannot continue to work. That's absolutely substantial, man. 80% of wages. What's that? A day off? Having a day off and you get a full week's wages. Not bad, is it? Considering you're doing nothing, and then people still moaning. That one day off ain't gonna pay for my beers and my narcotics at the weekend. You're still gonna live. You still gonna get roof over. You still gonna get your bills paid for. You can't go out with your mates and do your luxuries, if that's what you want to call it. Which, to me, that is sin. I mean, if an evangelist or preacher was saying that was sin, that's fine. Even seeing someone drinking in town centre and saying that's sin, that's fine as well, because drinking in town centre should be absolutely forbidden, taken away. They should be taken out of town for drinking in town centre when there's kids there and not in a pub or in a beer garden. They should be taken out of town centre, time and a place. If you can't afford the pub, you can't afford a beer garden, don't take a can into this town centre where there's kids. Especially when they're drinking, being loud. However, the furlough scheme is being phased out and will be replaced at the end of the month by less generous job support fee. I know that there's festivals and whatever, but they're not all organised, but they're organised in such an area where it's like a condemned area where it's signposted festival. You know what's going on, so you don't take your kids there. But when people sit in town centres on the square, or where you go shopping in your precinct or whatever, shopping precinct, you don't want people sitting there drinking beers when there's kids walking out of schools. And that's when a pastor or evangelist can go, that's sin, not for the equalities of sexuality. COVID Wales goes into firebreak lockdown from Friday. Wales will go into a short, sharp national lockdown from Friday until the 9th of November. People will be told to stay at home, and pubs, restaurants, hotels and non-essential shops must shut. Primary schools will be open after a half-term break. but only years 7 and 8 in secondary schools can return at the time under the 5-week rules. Gatherings indoors and outdoors with people not in your household will also be banned. The First Minister, Mark Drakeford, said the time limited 5-week will be a short, sharp shock to turn back the clock, slow down the virus, and buy us more time. We're part of the, aristocracy social elite. I know I'm in my rights when I'm talking about hate crime and whatever. Anything to do with criminology, I've been studying it. I write notes all the time about every single bit of crime. I've got books, criminology, um, family law books, business law. I know what I'm talking about. I know I'm in right. And when an evangelist is trying to tell me his way of the Bible is should be the way everyone is, it's not. The Bible was written for a guideline. There's no point in believing that actual fairy tale to every extent. Even look at the politicians. Dominic Cummings. What's her name? Is it Fiera? That woman. They make rules, but they try and stick to the guidelines best they can. They even break them themselves. I mean, these people in the Bible, they've been. I mean, Jesus got hanged. Did he upset a minority in his time? Did he say, sexuality? You got to be careful with equalities. You really have. I mean, we all die and get killed or whatever, one way or another in the end. But you got to be careful with equalities. There's a guidance there to some certain extent. As I say, for your thoughts are not your thoughts, and neither are my ways. That's exactly how you should take the Bible. That's exactly how you should take everything, because not everything's perfect in what you read in the description, even the description of the law sometimes. Let's go 30 down a school road, it says. There's kids crossing the road. You're not going to do 30, are you? You've got to slow down. So you take everything into proportion consideration to some extent. Think about the equalities of life. Without action, the NHS will not be able to look after those feigning sick, he told a press conference. Leisure business, community centres, libraries and recycling centres will shut. Place of worship will be closed for normal services, except for funerals and weddings. I mean, I go to church. Why do I still go? That's my way of thinking. That's the way I'm respectful. It's just how I've been grounded in my religion. I wouldn't upset. If someone goes and go to a mosque, I'll do it. I like the qualities of every biblical sense, because that's just me. As long as I'm grounded, as long as I've got someone can take me there. I don't know where the mosque or whatever are around there. Anything, just to show my respect, because everyone's got a quality. All the qualities of life deserve a bit of respect, because they've got. If you bring success to my table, why not sit at my table? Hello, friend, from whatever. If you want to talk something barbaric, whatever, talk about barbaric terms, anything you want. Come, feel free. I don't open arms, shake hands, give a hug, high five, whatever. That's how I am. Some people are ludicrous. Christians, saying Islamophobia is then a terrorist. And he's a terrorist. What he's doing in the town centre, he's a terrorist. Luke Charles is a terrorist. The announcement following rising case numbers in Wales and increasing hospital admissions, and replaces the 17 local lockdowns that has been in place. Figures now stand at 130 coronavirus cases per 100,000, only 7 days. There were 4,127 cases recorded between 9th and the 15th of October. Halloween and bonfire night gatherings will not be allowed under the restrictions, which begin at 16 BST, 18 BST on Friday, which is 6 p.m. The start of the half-term holiday, but there'll be an exemption for a small Remembrance Sunday commercial services on the 8th of November. Non-essential cross-border travel in and out of Wales will have to end during the 5-week period, Mr Drakeford has said. University in Wales will continue to provide a blend of in-person and online learning. If students have reading weeks in the half term, they'll also need to stay at home in their university accommodation. the First Minister said. The Welsh Government has provided a package of almost 300 million to support businesses. The rules will be similar to the lockdown in March. People have to stay at home, except for the very limited reasons such as exercise. People must work from home where they can. People must not visit other households or meet with people they do not live with, either indoors or outdoors. All non-food retail will shut and cafes, restaurants, pubs will close unless they provide delivery or takeaways. Hotels, hairdressers and beauticians will have to shut. People breaching the rules could be fined with fixed penalty notice starting at £60. Adults living alone or single parents will be able to join with one another household from anywhere in Wales for support. See, I've got, a partner, carer. She's allowed to come here to care for me, and vice versa, because I'm a vulnerable person. I need support. So, I'm not. It's how you tackle. Whatever your weaknesses are, maybe you can get around it, but don't take advantage of it. That's what I say. For your thoughts are not your thoughts, and neither my ways. So if you're fine, you're well, you're fit and healthy, you don't need to go and visit other households. I wouldn't put my mum and dad's life at risk. I wouldn't go and hang about a load of group of mates and go to mum and dad's house. COVID-19 cases in Wales per 100,000 population changed in over 7 days. Because my mum and dad are high risk as well, I have to make sure I can be there to support them. So, make that beck and call if they need me. Figures for last week of stable data to account for lag in the late test results. Public Health Wales, 9th of October, data up to 16th of October. Insisting rules on face masks, return them to be worn in public places indoors, will stay in place. The previous lockdown continued for months past the initial 3 weeks, but Mr. Drakeford said the firebreak will end on the 9th of November. I've heard some people say, the figures won't be down by the night of the 9th of November, so the period will have to continue. This is not a test to set, he said. Why a national lockdown? At Monday's Welsh Government press conference, Mr. Drakeford said a national lockdown was needed partly because the gap between those part of Wales were having to needed local lockdowns and local lockdown areas have been narrowing. Just got a call, ladies and gents. I know he's gone. Mr. Drakeford said now there's been an effort which every single person, every single part of Wales makes a contribution. He said he made Monday's announcement with a heavy heart. Anyone, is this impairing anyone's mental health? Is anyone suffering from mental health? They can't find enough things to do to get their mind occupied. Like I said, I try and work on progression. It all depends if I have enough sleep in the evening, isn't it? Sleep deprivation. Next day you end up just laying there on a settee looking at the wall, and then you're going to blame your mental health. If you get a sleeping pattern and do things throughout the day, and go to bed at a normal time, it's no problem. So is this your best chance of regaining control of the virus and avoiding a much longer and damaging national lockdown? The 2 weeks will be used very purposefully. The First Minister said allowing for more staff to be recruited for contact tracing allows others to catch up on the huge volume of contacts that have to be contacted and traced from recent weeks. What support will there be there for businesses? A new 300 million fund for firms affected will be opened next week. The Welsh Government said every firm covered by small business rates relief would receive a 1,000 payment. Small and medium-sized retail, leisure and hospitality firms that have to close will get a one-off payment of up to £5,000. There will be additionally discretionary grants and support for smaller firms that are struggling, the government said. It added that firms will be able to access the support available under the new government job support scheme, which will cover 67% of workers' pay at business forced to shut. What has the reaction been? The union The Union Association of School and College Leaders (ASCL) Simru said the Welsh Government decision that primary school children and secondary school children in years 7 and 8 return after the half term was a sensible balance in these circumstances. A retail lobbyist said she would be aware of any evidence that justified closure of non-essential shops. Retailers are now gearing up for the vital festive trading period with a fifth of goods are bought. If shops can't trade in the run up to Christmas, that will be a catastrophe, said Sarah Jones of the Welsh Retail Consortium. Consortium. British Beer and Pub Association said the fire break would destroy many pubs, brewers, and their simply supply chains in the country, unless financial support package is available to all businesses hit by the forced closure of all pubs. Financial support package announced today leaves many businesses impacted by the forced closure with no additional help, said Chief Executive Emma McClarkin. In August, the Welsh Government launched its coronavirus control plan for Wales, outlining a strategy to avoid returning into a national lockdown. So months later, we prepare for another lockdown. Has that plan to those lines of defence failed? The First Minister talking in his press conference about using a 2-week fire break very purposefully to strengthen the contact trace system and accelerating the establishment of field hospitals. He also said they'll be looking at a system of fines. Could we see people receiving fixed penalties notice for self-isolating? There was no direct answer today. The speed at which tests are going to proceed is still a major issue. Most of Wales tests and most of the problems are in UK government's lighthouse labs, so out of their control. But Mr. Drakeford said it is quite likely that one crucial aspect is unlikely to have improved by the end of the firebreak period: the number of COVID-19 cases and hospitalisations. Regardless, he ruled out an extension beyond 9th of November, but at the same time, he didn't rule out the number of firebreak lockdown in a few months' time. I mean, this show has been absolutely phenomenal today, ladies. If any of you want to, you can call in. You in your community, bring it to task. Please bring it out. If anything, like I said, my mate's little boy went missing the other day. I put it on my social media. Um, he was found by the police. Local police found him. Um, all over social media, I've got about 100 people get straight back to me looking at searching. Also, it's amazing what one community can do when you work together. Absolutely phenomenal. Anything, even a missing a cat, come on, call in, see what we can do. Dogs go missing. People always go, oh, they say pikey. I don't like saying that word. They say, oh, pikey's probably nicked my dog. I've seen it all the time on social media. Not necessarily pikey. Could be any degenerate. They're not even saying they're degenerates, but they are if they're stealing. If it was them that stole it, but you can't point fingers willy nilly. Segregating qualities. You can't just point fingers. Could be anyone. Could be a Christian. Could be Catholic. Could be Buddhist. Could be Islam. Could be Muslim. You can't just go, yeah, he's an extremist. He's an extremist. Anyway, Brentford Tower Block residents evacuated over safety fears. Hundreds of residents at a housing complex in West London are having to move out whilst the fire safety and structural problems are investigated. Residents at a high-rise Paragon complex in Brentford will be evacuated after faulty cavity barriers, which prevent flames spreading, were found. Every occupant of the 1,059 rooms will be moved this week. Housing Association Nottingham Genesis (NHG) said it was working to uncover the full extent of the issues. The cladding used on the building is also a concern, though it is not the same type used in Greenfield Tower. NHG said the residents would found alternative accommodation, including hotels, and providing financial support. Many are students at the University of Westminster, but the block is also includes rentals and shared leasehold flats. It added, very distressing time since the Greenfall Tower fire. The building has had a uh, a whacking watch to ensure residents are alerted in the event of a blaze. But the technical consultants advised they could not guarantee the safety of residents, and so an evacuation was required. Kate Davis, NHG's group chief executive, said, "I understand that the Paragon residents may feel angry or alarmed by this news, as they are very right to be. This is very distressing time, and we are genuinely sorry for the huge amount of disruption and uncertainty that this situation will cause. This is a complex situation, and we don't yet have all the answers. We are working to uncover the full extent of the issue at Paragon, so what we can provide residents with clarity about timescales, next steps, and options as quickly as possible." Ladies and gents, we're almost coming to a halt. Boris Johnson has said about resigning in possible 6 months' time. He's done such an amazing job so far. Obviously, whoever's prime minister in this current warfare with COVID-19, what he's had to jump into right in the deep end. He said he just wants to get Brexit through, and then he wants to give up his job. I think he's sick of the critics, sick of the hatred, death, probably death threats, everything. All the prime ministers get it because you've got critics all the time making you feel uncomfortable with your job. All people want is more money. That's all people care about. I want more. You're getting a free house over here. You're getting free food from the government funding, universal credit. Everyone wants more money, more help, more support. Even in your job, you want a pay rise. Everyone wants more. They're not just happy with the aesthetics of life. I live on £50 a month after I pay all my bills and have to buy shopping out of that. When I say I'm living off the aesthetics of life, this is what I've been doing for about 3 years. I want a pay rise. I want a pay rise. I want the exchequer to go, Mr. Johnson is doing a good show. We should support him like we support LBC. We should support him like we support BBC Two. Let's help get him where he needs to be in life. He's hard working. He's methodical. Let's support him because he brings a good show. He brings a good audience. He's got enough advice, more than the Citizens Advice. They've got paid staff in Citizens Advice as well. What I do here, I share it. I go over 2,000 people listening weekly. Citizens Advice Bureau probably get about, in a week, they only get 7 people in a week. I get 2,000 listeners. I could change someone's life within seconds. Well, what advice you can get in Citizens Advice? I've got no food. Here's a food voucher. I know where to go about even going to Citizens Advice. If you want, you've got a technical issue from a second-hand shop with your phone, and the guy won't give you money back. Where'd you go? You go Citizens Advice. No, you don't. You call up trading standards. All this is all they're going to tell you. All this knowledge, I know already, because they research on the computer. But it's called netiquette experience. I've got a good netiquette experience. I've got a good etiquette sense as well because 365 days a year I don't take narcotics or alcohol. My mind's on the ball. If you're homeless, where'd you go? You go Citizens Advice? No, you don't. Don't need to. Well, you can, but it's not the quickest option. If you listen to my show, you know the answer. If you're not, you're not going to get this support. This is free guided support, so you have to go for the rigmarole of queuing up. Citizens Advice don't want 15 people to deal with in a day. In a day. You don't want to waste your time queuing up for hours. You're sitting here listening. You get good advice, real advice, saving your queues, saving your time. I'm fighting society, people acting ill-mannered. It's part of my job. It's part of being a counsellor, supporting the community. You know, if I don't see something fit, I'll say. Simple as that. Anyway, ladies and gents, I'm not going to give you too much advice because too much advice is nice. But yeah, I'm not giving you too much advice. I don't like giving them what you go. But each time you come through, show me support, help me build up my stage. I'll abbreviate more. Abbreviate more. You can see my theological thoughtful process is well above average. Theological thoughtful process is well above average because I've got etiquette and netiquette sense. Very optimistic. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. God bless. Take care. Speak soon. It's the prodigious, it's the prominent Professor Johnson at Proclamations and Gatherings. Good, good day. God bless. Speak soon. Everyone on Castbox.